Well, again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast, part of the Bet Rivers Network, as we come to you after a very busy trade deadline. Just the other day, people were saying, boy, there hasn't been much action, but that changed radically in the last couple of days and changed in a big way. I mean, it was an insane trade deadline. I mean, teams really made major moves. Surprises like Korea getting traded, um, Miller getting traded from the A's for one of the top prospects in baseball. A young shortstop, but still big move. Teams helped themselves immeasurably. The Astros did. The Padres did. Teams basically gave up. The Giants, who are in a terrible slide in the last 2 weeks, went from being contenders, and then they just started unloading their team today. And the Twins almost tried to unload the whole team. I mean, unbelievable. Now, what we care about here is really what the Yankees and the Mets did. And let's say this, they both did really well. They really did. First of all, the Mets have rebuilt this to the best of their ability. Now, I know they went into this thinking that they could get a guy they could start in the postseason, a guy they could start in the first 3 games of a postseason series. They didn't get that. Yankees, especially if Heel comes back and he's coming back Sunday and throws well, they don't need that. They have that. Now, the bottom line is the Mets didn't do that, but they did the smartest thing they could do. They built an they went from having a weak bullpen, except for Diaz, to having an incredibly strong bullpen. And they went out and got a guy in center field that I wanted. And I coveted him for the Yankees. I coveted him for the Mets. Okay. I've been a Mullins guy for years, just like I wanted McMahon for a long time for the Yankees at third base. And I think he's going to pay a lot of dividends. I don't care that he hit a fly ball last night and won the game in a game that, to me, Tampa just gave to the Yankees. I'm not even going to get into that because it's already a day old. But McMahon is going to help the Yankees. He's a very good fielder. You've already seen that. And he's going to be a dependable enough bat. He's a big upgrade at third base. And that's a big positive. Now, on top of that, the Yankees go out and get some help, okay? Added a lot of pieces. And what they did was they added a lot of things that can help them play smaller baseball, help them play more situational baseball. They went out and got utility. They went out and got relief pitching. They went out and got guys they can use from the right side of the plate, especially when Judge is out of the lineup. They went out and aided themselves that they could put a better product out there, and they didn't go out there and play to their strengths, which is power pitch and hit home runs. We know that power pitch and power hit. I mean, that's what the Yankees are about. That's what they're always about. That's who they are. We know that. Okay. That's still going to be their calling card. But they have got to be better in situationals. They got to be smarter. They got to play more heads up. They have to play better situational baseball. They have to be able to build runs. They go out and they get guys who can be in the lineup against a tough lefty, play some defense, play multiple positions, added utility infielders, added speed, added guys who can play shortstop, added relief pitching. Okay. Bednar, Doval, Bird, guys they can hopefully count on with Weaver and Williams, who I don't love. I don't think Weaver's 100%, and I don't love Williams at all. I think Williams is going to be a one and done Yankee. I really do. The Yankees didn't go out and they didn't go to town. They went to town in terms of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 new faces. They didn't go into town in terms of impact. They didn't get that big player, big pitcher. They didn't get the big star. They didn't get the big star at the back of the pen. They didn't get the starting pitcher. They didn't get someone who's going to help them. Although I think McMahon's going to be a bigger help than you think. Okay. And I think he's going to turn out to be a very positive move. I think the Yankees help themselves. I still think the biggest thing the Yankees can have down the stretch of the season is to have Heel slide in and be that not number 3, number 2 starting pitcher. If he can be that, then I think they have really gotten a big, big plus to go down the stretch. Yanks just want to make the playoffs. If they win the division, fine. They don't have to win the division, though. But if they do, fine. If they don't, fine. Make the playoffs. Be ready to play in the playoffs. And you can win with bullpen. Now, the Mets, I think, had a very, very strong couple of days. They needed a center fielder. They went out and got him. I like Mullins. Mullins, I think, is going to be very good in big situations. He can steal a base. He can go get the ball in center field. He can hit a home run. What he doesn't have is a big throwing arm. Other than that, he is going, I think, to help. I have always liked him. Now, there were times people thought he was going to be a star. He's not a star. But I still think he can be a very, very valuable player. Very valuable player with this team. I don't think there's any question about it. Now, on top of that, the Mets, who have, let's be honest, a premier closer, they weren't worried about the ninth inning. They were trying to supplement. And now they go out, they get Soto from the left side, and then they get Rogers, who gives you a different look with his side arming. And then they get one of the premier guys out there in Helsley from the Cardinals. So you're looking at, based on what the lineup is, Soto in the 6th or Soto in the 7th after Rogers in the 6th. Rogers, Soto, flip-flop them. Helsley in the 8th. Diaz in the 9th. You go and then add Stanek and Raley and a couple of the pieces of that pen that are at least okay. And you can have a game where the Mets are like, thank you. You gave me 4 strong. I'm ready to go to the pen. Thank you. You gave me 5. I'm definitely going to the pen. You won't see any starters for the Mets going into the 6th unless Singer has a really hot hand. They don't want to have guys going to the 6th in big games. They are going to go to this pen, and this pen could be lights out. I mean, this could turn into the most dominant pen in Major League Baseball. This is really well done. A lefty, a side-arming righty, a power 8th, a power 9th. Hey, add the other arms in that makes those guys better. When they're not pitching in the 8th inning anymore, they're pitching in the 5th inning. They're pitching in the 6th inning. Maybe they're pitching in the 4th inning. Who knows? But the bottom line is these guys are coming out of the pen firing. And they are now have gone from Mets pen is hold your breath and Diaz to look out. This is a major, major upgrade. They didn't give away anything they couldn't give away. They kept the pieces that they have. All right. Is there an odd man out? Yeah, there's a couple of odd men out. There's a couple of guys who you're going to wonder how they're going to, keep their jobs and keep their roles. That's fine. The idea is to get better. They got better. They got completely better. Okay, that's the bottom line. The Met bullpen now could go into the postseason as the number one power bullpen in all of baseball. And that is a very big strength. Now, I can't tell you that San Diego didn't help themselves. They did. I can't tell you that Houston didn't help itself. It did. I can't tell you that Seattle didn't help itself. Okay. Or other teams didn't help themselves in the last couple of days. The teams that collapsed, the Rays, the Giants. I mean, the Giants went from contender to complete pretender in 2 weeks. They lost 12 or 14 games, and they decided to send the whole team packing. Now, there were some key guys that you thought might have been traded that weren't. Starting pitchers, a couple of big names in that regard. Didn't happen. Maybe the prices were too high. Plus, these teams would rather get big-time relievers anyway. That's the way this game is played now. You go in and you get a lead in the postseason, and then you say, "Go give me 9 outs out of my bullpen." That's the way the game is now. That's the way the Mets are going to play the game. Hey, you want to beat the Mets now? You better have a lead going into the 6th inning. You're going to be in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. Now, I keep hearing with the moves the Yankees made, oh, now they can take Volpe off shortstop. First of all, I think the idea of moving, as I've heard in a couple of places, moving Chisholm to short is ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. So if that happens, I think the Yankees have lost their minds. Leave him at second base and don't touch him. You got a second baseman at second base. Now you got a third baseman at third base. Leave it alone. Fix your shortstop. One of the problems for Volpe is the more Rice plays at first, the more Volpe is vulnerable. That ball last night, I'm not trying to get on Rice, but that ball last night, Goldschmidt puts that ball in his pocket. But Goldschmidt's not hitting enough to play every day, and Rice can knock the ball out of the ballpark. So you need a straight platoon there. I'm the guy who called for the straight platoon 2 weeks ago at first base. So I got to live with Rice's defense. There's no way around that. I mean, he's not, here's the thing with the Yankees. And it's the same thing we've been saying for years and years and years. The Yankees have way, way too many DHs. That's what it comes down to. Okay? That's it. And it's in a nutshell. They are the New York DHs. Stanton, we know, is the patron saint of DHs. Dominguez is a DH. Yes, he caught the ball last night miraculously in left field. It almost went out for a grand slam. Rice is a DH. He doesn't have a position. They're all DHs. But they're going to play Rice sometimes at catcher, although I think that might be a short-lived experiment. They're going to play him at first base. But he needs work there. And you're comparing him to a guy in Goldschmidt who's a big-time glove at first base. Now, Goldschmidt looks terrible against right-handed pitching. He just does. He looks overmatched. And he's been overmatched for a while. And this guy started out like a house of fire. And, his batting average has dropped 60 points since May. We know that. You got to deal with that. But the Yankees went out and they had a bullpen, which they had to do. They're getting healed back Sunday. And they went out and they said, we are going to fix the fact that we're having trouble catching the ball. We are going to fix the fact that we're having trouble against left-handed pitching. We are going to fix the fact that we need situational baseball and we need some speed. They went out and got speed. They went out and got gloves. They went out and got right-handed hitters. Not stars, but guys who could fill in a pinch and play here and play once a week and play twice a week and contribute late in the game and contribute off the bench and win tight games. And that's how you win baseball games. And you win in the postseason by everybody having a role. Many times during even those great Yankee teams, it was the last guy off the bench who wound up winning the game for them. We all remember Soho. Okay, that happens, especially in the postseason. And right now, the way this game is played, unless you have a Skeens or a Skubal or that kind of pitcher, you're talking about guys who throw 5 innings. And these teams know, hey, we're going to wait on these guys. We're going to foul off a bunch of pitches. We're going to make them throw pitches, and the guys are all up in the 80s and 90s in the 4th inning. And 100 pitches, they're out of the game. So you're in that bullpen anyway. Bullpen, bullpen, bullpen. And you see that more and more. And that's why there was such a premium on these closers. But I would give the Yankees a B plus on their moves. I would give the Mets an A on their moves. And I think the Mets incredibly improved their team. But, and here's the but, the Mets have very little in the way of starting pitching that they can count on in terms of durability, in terms of efficiency. We all expect Holmes to be in the bullpen by way before the playoffs. That's fine. But who is going to throw the first 5 innings for these teams if Senga or Manaea can't answer the bell? They didn't answer that question. That's, you're gonna start bullpen games. It might actually come to that in a big spot. Stearns went out and did a good job. And he also was right about the bottom of the lineup being energized. It has been. The guys at the bottom of the lineup have started to hit more. I don't think there's any question about that. And let's be honest, there's a lot of competition in the National League. Don't count the Dodgers out, no matter what, because they're still immensely talented. The Brewers and Cubs are both really good. And the Phillies are real, and they went out and helped themselves also by going out and getting a major reliever. But the Mets helped themselves immeasurably. They made themselves a far better team. And they have a way of going about things now and a way to attack things. They're going to have a way of winning games. They have a route now to win the games with their pitching staff. They didn't have that a couple of days ago. They built on the one pitching jewel they had, which was Diaz. And they accentuated that by what they put in front of him. And I think they added a guy in center field who I think is going to be a fan favorite and is going to get a lot of big hits for this team. Just like I think you're going to see the same thing out of McMahon, who had his first, curtain call and dousing last night. And again, that was the easiest spot in history. After the balk, it was the easiest spot in the history of baseball. All they had to do was hit a fly ball. Fly ball didn't wind up in someone's glove, so it wound up as a hit. Wound up, right before the track, but it was as easy as he could. All he had to do after he didn't get the bunt down was swing the bat and, hit a fly ball off a terrible pitcher. They'd run out of pitchers that could do anything. And Fairbanks has to be kicking himself because the way he was throwing 99, why he ever hung a curveball to Volpe, he has to be out of his mind. But hey, that's the bottom line. It happens. Both closers gave up home runs. So Yankees, plus. Did you get your we're going to town big star? No. Did you get a lot of little pieces that can make them better? Yes. Do they still need Judge to come back and heal to be good? Yes. They need that in the worst way. Do the Mets still need Senga and Manaea to be somewhat durable the rest of the season? Yes. And Peterson to be Peterson? Yes. So they can't cure every ill, but they sure took a shot at a lot of them. And you saw some teams really go out of their way, and they had a bunch of guys. I mean, look what San Diego did. San Diego is serious. Career going back to the Astros fills a big need. Lost their third baseman to a serious injury, and now bingo, he's going to play third base for him as he's reunited. So, and you did have some big closers, including Mason Miller, hit the road. And now they've been thrust into this pennant race. So you've looked towards this trade deadline for weeks and weeks, and you weren't disappointed in terms of impact or volume. These teams, for the most part, were extremely active. And I think in totality, you have to be happy, unless you were looking for the Yankees to do some pie in the sky stuff. You have to be happy with what the Yankees did. They made themselves better. They made themselves more complete. They tried to fix some of their ills, and the Mets clearly gave themselves a way to win. And that's a big step in the right direction. Now we're heading towards the football season before you know it. The first game is tonight. Believe it or not, you can turn on football tonight, and before you know it, if you watch preseason football, you can be watching football around the clock before you know it. And the regular season is a month away. So things are looking good. There's no question about it. That's the bottom line. Things are definitely looking good. And it's going to be plenty of action, plenty going on. And before you know it, plenty of action before you know it. When we come back, next time you see me, we'll be talking football. And we'll be talking about the dog days of August and then right into September. And you got two teams dreaming big dreams. And in a baseball season, hey, that's all you can ask for. Remember the newsletter? You want to get the podcast newsletter, just send your email to MikeFrancesapodcast.com and away you go. So we got stuff coming up with that. So do that. And we will see you soon. Take care.